How are you doing? I am playing with a new library. This is MegaMagic Guitars Volume 4. And this has two guitars, a steel string that you're hearing, and there's also the old Ventura, which is a nylon. Really, really nice. Come a long ways. So the two guitars, this is the nylon. This is old Ventura. Beautiful guitar. Those are the strings that have been on it for years. And same with this. That's why it's called old strings. Is both of these guitars, they're out of tune now, but they have the original strings that I didn't buy new strings. I didn't hire someone to do like really expensive guitars. I really wanted character guitars that have a bit of a story and personality to them. I also recorded them with Bliss, so you can I also recorded them with tape effects. This is cassette tape, and then there's like number 2 is like more like a VHS tape. And these guitars, both the steel string and the nylon, I have recorded what are called the finger off sounds, which are these different, and it's per notes. Each of the sample ranges, I've got, these are the upper, that's what it sounds like when you're playing up the keyboard down here. And then I also have squeaks. And again, they're round robin. There's like 10 samples. There's a whole bunch. So it's playing different samples. I have a trigger box for percentage. So if I set it to 100%, so it's cycling through all of these different node on and node offs. Also, bring up the mod wheel. You get the harmonics. And so you can be like a... And it doesn't cancel the other notes off because we have a really cool ability in Unify to play between one layer and another and bring them in and not kill the notes of the other layers. That type of a thing, which is really, really cool. Just on the mod wheel, so it's really easy. It's not key switching. You don't have to have a keyboard with 88 notes, all that kind of stuff that a lot of these guitar libraries try to put on you. I just do my voicing on a 5-octave keyboard, as you can see, because see, I have another camera helping me out. So, and the steel string. Actually, the steel string is kind of cool because there's actually 2 different harmonics. I was able to get a low octave harmonic. If you play on the steel string, you have the harmonics up here, right? I could also get harmonics right down here at, right? So, you wouldn't believe the number of hours it takes to get the all these samples take so long to do it right. You can't breathe when you're sampling. There's So you have the normal strings played fingered. I do finger string. I didn't do picks because pick is a little bit too sharp. I don't. Right? So came out really, really nice. The Bliss. I'm going to do your whole walkthrough in a second. This is kind of like the overview. The other thing that was really nice here, even the harmonics, I did Bliss on the harmonics, which is really cool. If you get down here to the Z patches, I wanted to keep like the core of the library at the top. So you see that you've got the fingers and the Bliss and the harmonics and so forth. And then you have the. These are the main patches of guitar. There's the Tanglewood, and then there's the Ventura. And the Ventura is the nylon, and the Tanglewood is the steel, as you see in the names. And here you have a natural EQ setting. And then a bright setting if you want to have more like string. And I'm not a fan of velocity switching guitars because you just hear these abrupt jumps from one to another. Inside of Unify, we have access to some really nice velocity controls for the filter and for the amp. So I can get far more dynamics. Just by playing and having parameters bring down volumes, bring down the filter a little bit so you take the edge off. It's really nice. So there's round robins, 2, 3, 4 different notes have different numbers of samples, depending on what I had that were keepers that I really liked. The maps are really elaborate in some cases. Most elaborate maps I've ever done. Here, I'll show you real quickly. If we go over here and we say open. Let's close this and go back here and see. So for example, here is the steel string guitar. As you can see, there's a lot of samples all the way up the keyboard, every other note in some cases, to give it the nice range. So when I'm playing, let's see if we go over here to the steel natural. So it's nice. Here's the natural and here's the bright, which has and again, velocity and all the parameters and groove sampler I have set up. You don't get those weird jumps where it's from one type of sampling technique to where you twang. I'm not a fan of that at all. So one sample range for the whole velocity range, but lots of round robins, lots of samples. Really quickly, check this out. If I go to the user library, so this all started, I sampled guitars with a friend of mine, Eric Hailstone, for Omnisphere, like 10 years ago. And that was MegaMagic Guitars parts 1 and 2. Part 1 was multi-samples of guitar. And in Omnisphere, that would take multiple patches, playing each of the samples and then using multi to map it so you could get all 6 samples across the keyboard. And it would sound like this. And it sold really, really well because taking and having lots of samples and the work to do that for Omnisphere, that was not seen. Still not seen. Most companies aren't even doing that type of technique of multiple samples, multiple patches. It's just a lot of work. You have to go to each patch to edit envelopes, all that kind of stuff. So part 2 of that was just single samples for like strats and so forth. So parts 1 and 2, volumes 1 and 2 were Omnisphere. I've converted it to Unify. So if you go to MegaMagic Guitars here you see there's 269 patches. There's all sorts of stuff in here that are really, really cool. But it's single samples or 6 samples maximum across the keyboard. So it's a little bit limited, right? And then MegaMagic Guitars Volume 3 was last year. I got a really nice guitar that had a direct input as well as microphones and recorded it. And it sounds like this. And I didn't do as many samples. You know, it's good, but I've learned and gotten even better. So here is the new guitar. So it's very, very nice. If I wanted to, I could go in here, since it's a Unify layer, I need to go down here and tell this to listen to CC1. And that way I can now get my harmonics. So I can it's come a long ways. I've come a long ways. These new guitars, harmonics, more accurate note offs and more accurate slides, and more samples. I mean, it's starting to sound really, 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 really good. The nylon, as a comparison, here's the nylon from MegaMagic Guitars Volume 1. Here's the guitar from MegaMagic Guitars Volume. I didn't do a nylon guitar for Volume 3, but for Volume 4. You know, you can do all that kind of fun stuff. I worked really hard. You know, do that kind of, come a long ways. So I'm really happy with how those turned out. Now, if we go to the library and do a walkthrough, I've kind of shown you the guitars, right? So steel string and the nylon, which I have shown you already. On top of this, the tape noise, and Bliss, this is really kind of fun. The tape noise, when you go to the tape guitars, if you let these just ring out, I loop them. And I looped them so that it was looping noise and not the guitar. So they're long samples. And so you have that you can layer this with anything inside of your plugins, other libraries. You can put piano on it. And there's examples down here. When you get to the Z patches, these are layers, combinations, BPM. There's all sorts of phrase ideas to show you that I created. So there's a lot to show you still. We're just warming up. But like, for example, if you get down here to the key, there is a tape piano. And it's really lovely. If you go to the page 2, you can bring down the volume of the tape or bring it up. And you also have brightness of the piano, so you can make it even moodier and then find the right amount of tape. And because the tape is a separate effect, let's do a comparison. So up here is the, let's say, the nylon tape. So this has that effect, the tape effect, which has warble, all that kind of stuff. I did a cool thing down here. In the Z patches, you will find where you have the Dream Tape Nylon and Dream Tape Steel. This is where the noise, the tape noise is a layer, but then I used the normal guitar that doesn't have the warble, but I put dreamy reverb and stuff on it. So it's a whole different vibe of tape. Isn't that nice? And again, on the second page, filter cutoff. So you can do stuff like that. And then the Dream Tape Steel is the same thing. But that dreamy reverb is on the guitar, but not on the tape, because they're separate. So, and again, this is one of those cases where you could go through here and get rid of the guitar. Just option click each of these guys. And I just had tape noise. Now just load, go over here, say new layer, and add any plugin you want. Go Vital and add Vital. And let's turn on the filter. Let's have a slow attack. Now you have a really cool tape synth, right? Using whatever synth you want to use, whatever patch you want to use, you now have a tape layer you can put on it. So I think that's going to be really useful in all sorts of different applications, right? So before I show you, I'll show you the phrases at the end. Let's keep going through the guitars because I have some really cool things that I did. These are really cool. Here's the Eternity guitars. This is for EDM dance music where you have a singer singing, you know, cool lyrics that are all airy and processed and all that. And then on the mod wheel, all that kind of stuff. And you can do that with the nylon as well. Oops. So you got that kind of stuff. Two guitarists is the steel and the nylon panned a little bit. Kind of thing. Now for guitarist ensemble, I took the nylon. We have a really cool trick inside of Unify where we have a shift parameter. It shifts the map, so you get all sorts of really cool tonalities for a layer. So I have the steel, and then I have a shifted version of the steel panned, and then I have nylon, and then a nylon shifted version panned and layered, and I'm using Jitterbox to do random timing of like up to 60, 65 seconds, something like that. So you get this vibe of four guitarists in the room playing at once. you know, the kind of a thing. These Bliss Nylon, this is the Bliss combinations with the Bliss and the original dry samples. So this has and the Bliss nicely fades out. I will point out up here in the core of the library, there's one pad where I took that Bliss and I used my looping software and found a place and magically looped it. So you have that available as a pad, and it's used in some of these Z layer patches down here. But like the Blue Steel Harmonics. Even tape with Harmonics and Bliss. I thought it'd be really, really cool for some things. There's some tape and guitar combinations. That's the nylon and the steel. Kind of thing. The Dream I showed you guys earlier. Hybrid harp. That's the guitar with the shift parameter. Never Enough Bliss is like Bliss from what? From the Harmonics and from the steel guitar and steel harmonics and nylon harmonics. So it's this really cool evolving pad, and it all fades out. So if you sit here long enough, it will eventually fade out. Right? There's some phase stuff. Kind of thing. We got some snappy funky. Kind of stuff. Ukulele. Kind of a thing. The snowy windows. There's a live stream 2 weeks ago. Actually, it's just this last weekend. We had a blizzard outside, and the snow was hitting the window and making the coolest sound. And so that's actually up here next to the tape. You'll see blizzard snowy windows. And if you live somewhere where you get blizzards, you'll know this sound, because this is what it sounds like when it's super cold outside, the wind's blowing, and icy snow pellets are hitting your windows. So this snowy windows nylon, the mod wheel brings in the snow. Then you have a nice tape guitar. So that's really nice. And steel the same way. Rain or the snowy blizzard. Right? And then we have strings and nylon. You gotta have guitar and strings. And same with the steel. I showed you the tape and piano. Then there's a couple pads using the Bliss and vocals. Let Us Pray is using a DX'd organ. Morgan, our own B3 organ that Shane created, and then the Bliss pad. So using that tape noise with a warm pad. Just giving you lots of options, ways to use all these sounds that, you know, when I make a sample library, I try to maximize those samples and use them in lots of different ways of you might be using it. So the tape noise with pads, sure. Because with this, all you have to do is remove layer 1 and call up any zebra pad, any omnisphere pad, whatever you want. And now you have the tape kind of a thing. Now there's some splits where you have the Blizzard Snow bass, tape guitar on the top. Right? And same with the steel string. So that kind of a vibe is covered. Now, on top of the layers and stuff, we get into the BPM place. And there's some fun things here. There's some BPM. Stuff like that. The afterlife is really cool. Evolving complex. And then you have the simple version, which is just the and it's fun. I'm using one of the Bliss, but I've moved the sample start late, and I'm using like maximum random sample start. So it's playing the sample. The Bliss is this nice evolving sound that has all sorts of harmonic stuff happening to it. So it's playing a different piece of that Bliss pad with each note. And then I have my little using the LFO as a snappy envelope for the added layer. Now we get to the phrases and the song ideas. The phrases, this is kind of like an auto accompaniment kind of an idea. You play one note and it plays. I program these all the way up, so you don't have to do anything but enjoy. And if you go to page 1, the chord lets you cycle. As you can see, this is a minor 7/9 chord. Major chord, 7th, major 7th, and then we get to the minor 7, and then minor 7/9. So there's 6 different chords that you can play. So you can go between major for one chord, right? So, and then on top of that, if you go over here to knob 2, right? Now, each one of these grooves, as you can see, there's 2 variations, because not only can it be sad, it can also be happy. If you start with a happy chord, different production, and the drums are different, so right? And I did that for 4 different ideas for these. So again, there's 6 chords over here, and I have it so it shows you in the display what chord it is. Groove number 2, here's the happy. Again, there's a groove. Since chill is kind of a big thing, I kind of produced it up to be more chill for the most part, but not all of it. Like Sad Disco, same chords, but by doing different parameters and stuff and a different tempo, so you got these to play with. Groove 3, here's the happy dance. And this one I called up the drums on, so just so you know there are drums. And then trippy. So you have these phrases that you can play and have like little, just backing you up for your song production kind of thing. So kind of, I had the guitars. Unify can play MIDI files. I can use a knob to change MIDI files. Why not put it all together, right? So we did. Make sure you get to the right. You can automate these in your DAW so that it can change chords as you're having it play the parts. And then Sunset Tempo is a little bit different because I'm using the Harmonics to play. The minor version. Right? Okay. So these don't change chords. You have to play other notes for it to change chords. Now the song ideas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, both nylon and then completely different ideas for steel are 4 major chord progressions I composed. And you have complete 100% royalty-free rights to use these to make songs. If it becomes a huge hit, buy me a Ferrari, you know, that type of thing. But no, there's nothing due for using these. And this one's doing the 2/5. Now, at the very end down here, there's these 2 jams. This is a good place to show this because these up here are just the guitar parts. So when you go to each one of these, go to El Matador. And I tried to slide them and do sound like a guitar instead of a keyboard player, but I'm a keyboard player, so. It's supposed to be up here on G up here. And the idea is you'd put this on one track and then you go to another track and you'll play bass, other parts to go along with this, unless you do this. If you go down here to the 2 jams, this one, the nylon jam, the way these work, the mod wheel that was calling in the Blizzard earlier now calls up one of the MIDI sequences, drum groove, Welcome to the PGA. Today we've got a really great round coming up. And then the steel jam has the steel down on the left hand. jam, play, and there's a whole lot of things set up here. The song number will change to the different sequences. If you go to a different one, C to E flat, F, A flat. I mean, I've seriously like lost track of time playing with these two. And I have them set up so that everything is compartmentalized, meaning that if you don't want to use this guitar, that's the first layer. So you could open this up. You could load any patch from any library, from any plugin, and it will replace the right hand. This layer is the bass. And then inside of this Unify layer, you have two parts. You have the drum groove and guitar phrases. So you can open up this, and because MIDI box is out here, that means you can open this up and you can call up any other guitar that you want. You could say, instead of let's use the hybrid harp. Or I could use Dream Tape Nylon. Or distorted harmonics. And then the drum groove, you could open this up and you could go to, like, let's say like Rad Bad Beats, and we could come down here and find ourselves like something like this. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but I'm going to go to instrument and just click a whole bunch of RX grooves. Off you go. So you wouldn't believe how much time it took just to set these two patches up to do what they're doing. But I wanted to kind of put the whole library all together so you could see. And here's, just so you know, the chords. So if you call up the nylon jam, D minor to C. And at the very end on the fourth major, it goes to A for a second if you want, or you can stay on D. Or on C, I'm sorry. And then the second one for the steel guitar sits on G. But you can walk it up if you want. So that's what I have prepared for you in this library. So it's got a lot of places it can go. A lot of different genres are covered. Just trying to do as much as I can with guitars so that I don't have to do this again for a while. So I'm really happy with this library. I hope you like what you've heard. Thank you for your business and support. And yeah. All right. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.